So the next thing I would like to show is how to do the ears for the figure. When you first make them, they're probably going to look like they're way too big, but your ears, if you draw a line from your eyebrow around the side of the head, straight around, and then from the bottom of your nose, straight around, believe it or not, the ears stretch from that top line to that bottom line. But if you put it here, it looks gigantic. Once you wrap it way around to the back, then it starts to look correct because it's hidden by cheekbone and other things. So when you do that ear, it's going to get attached way back here where the kind of jawbone comes up and then the cranium sticks out behind it. So the shape of the ear, what I'm doing, I'm just taking a little piece of clay, and see it's pretty small, and I'm going to make a shape like a capital letter D. And then I can go ahead, oh, it's too small, so I need to make sure I keep stretching it out and compare it to my other one. And then it could have a little part that sticks in here instead of just the straight line for the D. All right, and just like the eyeballs, I like to make two at once, so I make sure they're the right size. A little bit bigger, about like that. All right, so way back here, back behind the cheek, right, oops, right about there. I'm definitely going to want to add a little water and slip and score. Squirt it with some water, score it. And the same for the piece of clay. Make sure it goes way around the side of the face. And now when I attach it, I'm just taking that little center part that I made and making it blend to the front. And then since it's not going to be super well attached, I like to take some kind of a tool, a pencil work here, and go around behind and just get that clay to join in a little bit better underneath there so it doesn't fall off. Kind of shape it a little more. Here's the earlobe kind of sticking out a little bit. Of course, different people have different shaped earlobes. A lot of times it'll kind of tuck in right here. And then there's a part that digs in right here and comes down. Like that. And then it kind of gets lighter and swoops in here, kind of a number 9. And then I usually just go ahead and kind of poke a couple holes and then connect them, because there's this little flap right here. Also, poking a hole right into the head helps join that ear on better. And then if you can just take something small and smooth it a bit so it's not quite so severe looking. You also could probably squirt it with a little water, dab it with your hand, that kind of thing. So when you look at it from the front, it just kind of flares out like that. I'm going to go ahead and do the other ear, and I'll show you when I'm finished. All right, so there's the first ear, and then there's the second ear. Try to get them as close as you can to matching. Easier said than done, but do the best you can. And it looks okay from the front. A little more blending there. Okay, so now let's see, I think I should show you how to do the nose a little bit better. It's still too big. So a reminder that the outside of the nostrils goes straight up to the inside of the tear duct. That lines up with that straight down line, here to here. Take a little more off, and then that looks okay there. And then just like I did before, I'm going to come in maybe a quarter of the ways and push down the sides for the 2 nostrils. It looks too severe at first and it kind of makes everything square, but then I have to do some rounding. So the ball of the nose, of course, is bigger than the nostrils. Got a little part sticking out there. And then the nostrils come down lower. If you look at this, these two parts, of course, are lower than the ball of the nose. And then I just take my pencil and come here and poke in and then just slightly tease the pencil out to the side because the nostril is more of an oval than a circle. Just tease it out to the side a little bit. Now right here underneath the nose, it does angle out, and it's kind of hard to do that without adding some clay. So I just stuck my finger in a little water. The piece of clay is so tiny I don't have to score it. That would be kind of ridiculous to score that little tiny piece. And then I'm just going to roll it up. Get in the nostrils again. Roll it back down, and then that connects to this little dip between the two sides of the lip. So just making sure everything fits together correctly. I may have to redo a little bit of the lip here. The whole thing where you're kind of rolling it out. Alright, getting in here. Taking another look and making sure that that mouth, if I just wiped out one side of it, that mouth is curved, right? When you look at here, it should not be flat and straight like this. It's curved way back around. All right, that's starting to look a little better. It still has a very large nose, so you, at this point, should probably look at a picture of a person. I may go ahead and pull up a picture and try to do a specific person instead of just generic, and play around a little more with that nose. The other thing with the nose is right around this edge here, you can take something and just curve it in. There's a little hint of a dip under there. That also makes it look a little bit smaller. Trim a little bit here. It, of course, also depends on what race, what nationality you're doing of a person. Obviously, different people have different sized noses. I'm mostly trying to do Caucasian here, but even that, everybody has a different shaped face and different features on it. All right, that's looking a little bit better. All right, eyebrows. So I don't like to build the eyebrows on it. I really just like to kind of do some hairs. So there's with a pencil, or here. I'm just kind of scribbling back and forth. And the thicker you want them, kind of the deeper you go into the clay. Just kind of scribble right on that brow bone that should be sticking up there. Don't want to make them too bushy, so it's a little too dramatic. Just kind of pushing them back down. If I smooth here a little better, that's going to look better. Okay. Now, the pupil, the dark part of the eye that lets the light in, and the iris. So for the pupil, I think this pencil lead will be about right. So if he's looking straight forward, he's going to like that. Wonderful. When you poke that in, the shadow created in there all of a sudden makes it look like an actual pupil. So if I wanted him looking sideways, I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is going to look very odd, but I think I'll make him cross-eyed, one eye cross-eyed. So I just go and make that eye look in a different direction. It's hard to see in the camera. It shows up way better in person, but this eye is looking in this direction and this eye is looking straight forward. And I am going to go ahead after I finish showing this, and I will fix that and make them both straight, but for now I'm going to leave them sideways. Okay, so then on the outside, around the outside of the pupil, this iris, I think of it as a donut. So it's a circle that goes and encircles the iris. But usually what will happen is the circle does not show up on the bottom. Again, this is going to be a little tough to show on camera. So usually the eyelid just grazes a lot of times the top of the iris, but the bottom gets cut off. So if I bring that up a little bit, so my circle is coming down and stopping here, and the circle does continue around there. So this eye, since it's looking sideways, you're going to see more of this side of that circle for the iris. This one you can't even see because it's looking sideways. The eyeball is actually turned inward. So now you can see a little bit better that this eye is looking in a different direction than the other eye. Kind of turn it. You can see there, two different directions.